All right, let's get started. We're going to talk about how to download Unity. So Unity, if you're using it for yourself, is just free. If you're going to start making tens of thousands of dollars, then it costs some money. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm just going to open Chrome here, and I'm going to search for download Unity. Okay, click on that. It comes up with a couple options. It says choose your Unity and download. I'm going to choose the personal version for free. I'm going to click on try. I do accept the terms. I'm going to download the installer for Windows. Okay, here it's coming down here at the bottom left. I'm going to go ahead and install it. And then once it starts installing, I'll just pause this video to save us a little time. Actually, right here, whatever builds you want to build for, you can select. I'm personally not going to use Visual Studio Community right here, so I have that unchecked. I like using MonoDevelop. Yeah, and other than that, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as is and just click Next. You'll leave it install where it's going to install, and it'll start. I'll pause it right here just to save time, and I'll resume the video when it's done. All right, just finished. That took quite a while. I probably should have unchecked the iOS build and the Android build, as I'm not building for mobile right now, and that added a good 5-10 minutes. But yeah, let's go ahead. So I finished. I'm going to minimize all of this. And now we've got a little shortcut for Unity here. I'm doing 28.1 as that's the most current version, or 2018.1. 2018.2 is currently in beta, but depending on when you're watching this, who knows what version we'll be on. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. Ooh, that's a nice new logo. I haven't seen that one yet. And I'm just going to create a new project. We're going to start with 2D, and I'm just going to show you kind of this main interface here. Okay, so you can see I've done some projects in the past. So main thing I'm going to do here is up on the top right. I'm already logged in with my Google account, but I'm just going to click on a new project. Okay, I can choose where to put this. I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to call it my new 2D tutorial. Okay, over here I'm going to choose that I want this to be 2D, not 3D. And then I'm even going to choose a different location. I'm going to go to my desktop here, and I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to say, you know what, this is my old project, because I'm going to move it later just to show you how you can bring it from one destination to another. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and create my project. Okay, it might take a second to just load everything, so I'll pause the video while this finishes. Okay, so that didn't take that long, just maybe like 30 seconds to a minute. So now I'm in my scene, so I can do whatever I want here. I'll kind of introduce you to all of the different parts of this screen in a minute. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and save the scene I'm in. Essentially, that's the level I'm creating right now, as we will be able to switch between levels, main menu, different scenes. So I'm going to really quickly just save my scene. I can go save scene as and choose. Maybe I'll save this scene as my main scene. I'm going to choose where I want to put it. Right now I'll just put it in the general assets folder, which you can see down here, all of my assets down here in the bottom left. So I called it main scene, click save, and what you'll see is this is my scene right here. Just double clicking on this will open up that scene. You can see up here, main scene. If I make any changes, I don't really have anything I can throw in here right now. I can just create a new empty object. You see this asterisk here, that means it hasn't been saved. As soon as I hit Control S on my keyboard to save it, that goes away because now my scene is currently saved. Okay, I can also save my project now. That's the entire, every scene, every asset file that you have here, every package you've imported. I can save that, and I can go ahead and close Unity. And now where that's located is I put it in my old projects here. So you can see this folder. Now I can just cut this folder. I can move it to a new location. So maybe over here I want to make a new folder called my new projects. So I could put this on a USB drive. I can put it on Google Drive. I can just paste it in there. So now it's no longer in the old location. So I could also, right click and go, there's send to. I can do send to compressed zip folder, really quickly zip it up. So now it's a single file, and I can just drag that onto Google Drive or email that. Well, you can't email zip files usually, because Gmail will say it could be a virus. So just drop it onto Google Drive and send the link is an easy way to do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reload Unity now that I've put it in a new folder. Okay, and you notice it's not on my menu anymore because where I had put it before isn't there. So it tried to look for it. It wasn't there. So what I'll do is I'll go open. It'll ask me where do you want to open something from. So I'm going to go to desktop and I'm going to go to my new folder and I'm going to click on this and it'll say, oh yeah, that's a viable one. Whereas I click on any other folder, there's no option to select that folder. So in my new projects, I click on the project and click select folder and boom, I'm back in. It'll take a second to load up, but not as long as the first time because it's already imported all the packages you need. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce you kind of to the interface here, and we'll call it good for the first video. So over here on the left, this is the hierarchy. Anytime I create a new object, so like say for 2D, I create a new sprite. It's essentially like an image that I can move around. So that could be your character, a ball, an enemy, a coin, whatever it is. So when I create that, it shows up over here. In each separate game object, I can do things like I can duplicate it to make a copy with all the same properties. I can delete it. I can later make it a prefab simply by dragging it down here. I'll show you that in a second. Over here on the right is the inspector. So when I click on any game object in the hierarchy, over here it shows me all of its properties. And we'll kind of go through what each one of these are in a bit. But hierarchy shows each game object currently in the seed. On the right, while you're clicked on a game object, it shows you all the properties and components it's got. In the middle here, and the layout may be different depending on your install, but in the middle here, you've got your game. That's essentially the camera that the player will be looking through. So what does the player see? Right now, they see nothing but a default blue background, and we could change that color. And then over here in seed, this is actually what's in the world. So you can kind of see that outline. That's what the camera's looking at. You can back out, you can go in, you can move side to side. Because we're in 2D, you can't really rotate unless I switch off 2D up here, which you can do. But since we're in a 2D world with a 2D camera, let's stay in the 2D. And then down here, you've got really two windows. One is the project window. That's essentially like a collection of folders, just directories like you would have on a computer where you store things. So I can just right click and I can go create a folder. You want to keep this really organized. So I might create a folder for my scripts where I would write code. And in there, I could say, you know what, I want to create a new C# script called my player controller. And that's where I'll put like how I control my player. I might also go back into assets and I might say, you know what, I want to create a folder for materials. And in there, I might make some materials I might use. Either I can make some like brick type texture that I'll put on something so the lighting looks really good. And then I might create another folder for my images or for sprites. And then let's create one more. Let's say this folder is for prefabs. So let's go to in here, let's go folder prefabs. And what that's going to be is that's going to be where you take a game object from your scene. You've set it up just the way you want. It's got gravity and motion and all these cool things. So what you do is essentially want to save it. All you do is take a game object from the hierarchy and you drag it down. You can put it in any folder, but we want to stay clearly labeled. So we go into our prefabs folder, then we just drag it in there. And this might be, I might rename it to player and I'll put it down here and boom, now it saves that player just as it is. And I can just drag it into the scene. And you'll notice it's hard to see, but these are now a bluish color. And we'll talk about prefabs at a later scene. But you've got project window of files down here. You've got hierarchy of game objects currently in your scene, which you can remove or add as you see fit. When you click on it, you see its attributes on the right, and then you can switch between actually looking at the world yourself and what's going on, and then what does the player see in the game when you press play. And right now, nothing. So it's a blank world. And then the final thing is this console window down here. And that's essentially where you'll print stuff with debug. You'll say like, oh, like what's going on here? Is it even detecting a collision? And so you'll debug.log and say like, you know, hit something. And so that's where these messages would pop up. And that's a really good way to test your code as you're going. All right, that's it for a first video. Hope you liked it.